Welcome to the objective review of Bumblebee, the latest Transformers movie. And in objective review, I like to break a movie down into 6 categories and assign weights to them to give the most honest, unbiased review as possible. So let's start with the first category of story.
There is only one way to end this war. You must protect Earth and its people. And
the story of Transformers is, to sum it up, really boring. I mean, it opens up on Cybertron with the war of the Decepticons versus the Autobots, and that's really good. I feel like you get a lot of good character development there with Bumblebee. He actually has a voice. You know, these are actual characters. And then Bumblebee has to leave for some reason to Earth, and so he can set up a base. So for later, Optimus Prime and other Autobots can join him in the resistance against the Decepticons. But once it gets to Earth, he sort of forgets his memory, and really, at this point, the story is just about Bumblebee versus these other 2 Decepticons trying to get a signal out to bring him back up. And that is the story. Like, the stakes don't feel high at all. And granted, there are some good elements of story there. You also have Charlie, and she's kind of going through some family issues. She had a recent loss in the family, and she's kind of struggling to find her cause in life. So Bumblebee kind of re-energizes her to a certain extent. But still, my issue with this movie and a lot of other Transformers movies is that these humans seem so irrelevant. It seems like they can't really do anything to help the situation. And so they kind of just in the way all the time. Like when it opened up on Cybertron, that was really cool because we got to see the Autobots and Decepticons actually go at it. Like they actually communicated with each other. They formed plans. They had some bonds. Like, why don't we just get a movie with them? We don't need humans to try and emote with. We can emote with CGI characters. It happens all the time. We don't need humans in these movies. And like I said, the story is just really boring. I have to give it a 6 out of 10. Next is on to emotion. And the emotion in this movie is mostly by Haley Steinfeld's character. I think she does go through a lot of growth, trying to deal with a lot of things in her life, just trying to regain that strength that she had before, trying to regain that purpose in life. And that's done fairly well. It wasn't tear-jerky or anything, but I think it was done fairly well. It was above serviceable. But everyone else was just blah. Like, I just did not care about any other characters, including Bumblebee. So I'm gonna give that a 7.5 out of 10. Next is on to action.
And I'm not going anywhere.
And action in this movie is fine. It is serviceable. That opening sequence is pretty good. The good thing they did with action in this movie is that they made the Transformers a little bit more cartoonish, which added a lot more color to them, which made them discernible from each other, unlike it has been in the past, which is kind of like gray CGI things against gray CGI things. So that made the action a little bit better. But still, I feel like the action was very short-lived, and it wasn't necessarily all that great. Like, there was only like maybe 1 5-second piece of an action scene where someone just throwing punches, an Autobot or a Decepticon was just throwing punches at this Autobot. And I thought, oh, that's nice. And then that was it. So for action, I'll still give it a 7 out of 10. That's on comedy.
God, I'm so screwed.
The comedy in this movie is fine. No one really goes for that much humor in it. I think I chuckled maybe 3 times, and they did try and deliver on some comedy, but they just weren't landing with me like at all. So for comedy, I give it a 6.5 out of 10. Next is on to acting.
I'm Charlie Watson. I'm 18. Today, actually. Is the Beetle for sale?
The acting in this movie is, I'm gonna keep saying it's fine. I think Haley Steinfeld is a good actress. She does a pretty good actress here. I mean, you really do buy that she's this character who had a recent loss in her family, and she's going through a lot of tough things, and she does a really good job doing that. The problem is that everyone else is just kind of in a slightly cheesier movie than her, and that kind of just brings down everyone's acting score. So like John Cena is just kind of this doughy military guy. Her boyfriend guy, who's not her boyfriend, he's kind of just this cheesy guy who wants to ask her out for a date, and they're friends. And the voice acting, I wasn't thrilled by it at all. So for acting, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Haley Steinfeld did do a good job. Next on to directing.
They're calling an army.
I've seen firsthand.
And this is where I think the movie is the crappiest at. I will give them props. He did have a decision there to make the Autobots a little more discernible from each other. I think that was done well, but the movie is just so boring. It moves so slow. Like, not only am I in the theater looking at my watch, I'm like, man, I really want to pull my phone out right now because I just want something to distract me to get to maybe the next scene. Like, that's not good when that happens in a movie. You can tell this is the cheapest of the Transformers movies because they don't use the Autobots all that much. I mean, I do think they look cool as always look, but it was nothing thrilling. Just the pacing alone of this movie is going to weigh this way down to 5 out of 10. Like, I just shouldn't feel that way in a movie at all. Like, this movie made me feel so much like it was boring that when I walked out, I heard another guy talk to his friend like, oh yeah, the movie was really boring, man. And the guy was like, I don't think it was that bad. And I'm an extrovert. I go out of my way not to talk to people. And I went to him like, yeah, that movie was really boring. I was that passionate about it. So that brings us to our weighted average score of a 6.4 out of 10. That is not good. It's probably in the lower 10th percentile of all the movies I've ever ranked, which is like 200 something. So I'm really disappointed in this movie. I think some people are very nostalgic for this Transformers, especially if they love the 80s one. And that's why they really love that first 10 minutes of this movie, which maybe felt like it, but I don't know nostalgia for that. Like, I was born, I'm a 90s kid. And so, I mean, my real Transformers is probably Beast Wars. And so I don't know nostalgia towards that. And even if I did, I wouldn't let it tarnish this review or shine up this review. All right, that's it. Let me know what you think. Hopefully, maybe y'all liked it. I just really wish that I had either stayed home, watched Netflix, played some Smash Bros, or saw Aquaman and Into the Spider-Verse again. But I will do that again anyway. All right, that's it. I'm out.